time has finally come for me to make this little Corvette a real boy. One of the most important things that it lacks is chop. I am party time. We've also got this. Oh, welcome back to Hoonigan Project Garage, folks. So while I would love to be doing an episode on this, Waylon, my two-door Tahoe with the Godzilla swap and the big-ass turbo, it's packing. We were waiting on some parts. Those just arrived, so I actually got to get to work on that and film all that for you. But I did, however, find this footage that I shot basically last year doing the heads, cam, valve train, exhaust, all that stuff on my 2010 Grand Sport Corvette. You guys get to watch me struggle my way through that. Quick pro tip for you. If you have a C6, C5, C7 Corvette, it's probably easier to just drop both subframes, engine, transaxle, torque tube, drop it all out of the car, because you know what, it's going to be a hell of a lot easier. But you get to see me learn this lesson the hardest way. Anyway, enjoy. Oh yeah, ladies and gents, the time has finally come for me to make this little Corvette Grand Sport a real boy.
Be a man.
That's right. Up until now, it has been completely stock, minus this slightly ridiculous carbon hood, an SLP catback, and of course, the all-trusty K&N intake. These are great cars from the factory. It's been a perfect daily driver. It's very manageable. It's comfortable. It gets great gas mileage on the highway. But one of the most important things that it lacks is chop. We're gonna fix that today. Hopefully, it doesn't take a long time, and it shouldn't, because LS engines, relatively easy.
Never easy, right?
Kind of like a Harley, basically a tractor.
Oh, this thing stops on a dime.
The only problem we're gonna have is having to drop the subframe out to, access the crank pulley so we can get the timing cover and stuff up and, change the cam, but we'll get into that. So, here's what we're about to do. Oh yeah. Let's lay these out on the table just so we can take a look and, get it all sorted.
Hello, 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 hello. Sorry to stop what you're watching. I have a Hawk Performance thing to tell you about. Right here we have the Hawk Performance HPS 5.0. Less noise, less dust, and superior stopping power. This is the Hawk Performance Street Pad, an entry-level brake pad for the everyday commuter.
And now, we have the Hawk Performance Ceramic Brake Pad, the ultimate in noise and dust control.
Listen, it's an inexpensive way to put good brake pads on your car, less dust and less noise. Superior performance for safer stopping in all daily driving conditions, such as stop and go city driving, mountain driving in case you gotta deliver tofu to the local hotel, highway commutes in and out of sitting stop traffic. Go to hawkperformance.com right now to find more about these brake pads and also purchase some for your vehicle. Have fun, be safe.
All of this is our golden ticket, the real quality chop, and hopefully we get an honest 520 to 540 maybe wheel horsepower out of this on 91 octane. With the ability to drive it every day, still decent gas mileage-ish, still drivable, not too much. It's basically all bolt-on stuff. Starting with the cylinder heads. Now, these are PRC 260cc LS3 cylinder heads. These things are bad. When you buy a set of these, they come fully assembled like this with 660 dual valve springs, titanium retainers, and they feature a 13-degree valve angle. Now, this is really nice because it improves piston to valve clearance for extra compression and bigger cam. So my cam is pretty big when you're running a stock head, but you can go more with these, which is nice. Everybody likes bigger cams. If you don't, you should probably turn this video off right now. One of the cool things about these heads is they actually feature a smaller than stock intake port because it improves port velocity, but somehow these heads flow crazy numbers. These are the flow numbers of these heads. Pretty good. At about a 600 lift there, we're doing 360 CFM of intake flow and 235 CFM of exhaust flow.
Oh, that makes sense.
Now, if you're running a bigger cam, obviously, you're gonna get more out of it. From what I could find online, the only heads that are outflowing it are like the Frankenstein heads, and those things are easily almost twice the cost. So bang for your buck wise, these are nice. We got a 2.185 inch intake valve and a 1.60 exhaust valve. obviously stainless steel. And you can see in here, bronze valve guides. Now look at these ports. Really nicely done right out of the CNC. They feature a 68cc chamber, completely assembled right here in the USA. America! The next very important part of this, the most important part, the cam. What's making all our choppy sounds? What's activating our valves? And of course, we're running that BFD LS3 cam, baby. A lot of good chop comes out of these. Love the way it sounds. Makes good power too. It actually makes decent power down low. We're gonna prove that in just a bit here on the dyno. Gotta get it in first. Now, these are important. Anytime you're gonna run a big ass cam in, well, anything really with push rods, you wanna make sure your valve train can handle it, right? Obviously, you know, if you're not doing heads with that cam, it is really important to get a valve spring that matches it. So at least a 660 valve spring whenever you're running a BFD cam, regardless if it's 453, 60, LS7, you know, any of them, right? You wanna make sure you got a good valve spring. Secondly, you wanna make sure that your rockers are good. Like, you can run a stock rocker. The stock LS3 rockers, awesome. Real strong stuff. The one place that they typically fail is with the trunnions. So these are upgraded trunnions from CHE, and you'll notice, see how they got this slit in them and it's kind of spiral? That's so oil can travel through that. And then they got these bronze ends that press in that also have that nice little oil feature. I mean, honestly, if I'm being real, these are kind of overkill for what I'm gonna use it for, but you know what? There are plenty of guys running big power with a stock LS style rocker that doesn't have a roller rocker with these in them. These hold up a hell of a lot better. We'll show you what the stock ones look like, but there's plenty of videos out there that you can see how to install those and do all that shit. Just go search on YouTube, you can find it. Moving on. This is actually a kit that you can buy from Texas Speed. You can get the heads cam. You get a full set of bolts, so all your hardware that you need to replace comes with it. You'd get a new crank bolt, which is nice. You get push rods. If you're putting in a new cam, you should probably replace the push rods just because you're in there, but make sure that you measure these. Every single block is different. Every cylinder head casting, a little bit different. So there are a few really good videos online right now that show you multiple ways how to test and check for proper push rod length. Those are coming from people that are professionals, because there is nothing worse than putting an engine together with the wrong push rod length, and then all of a sudden it doesn't run great, and then you're making way less power than you started with.
Dumbass.
Moving on, the kit also comes with the proper gaskets. We got these multi-layer steel Cometic gaskets for the heads, valve cover gaskets, timing cover, water pump. So that's what comes with the kit. Now, a couple extra things that I'm including here. New spark plugs. We're gonna go a heat range colder than what's in it right now. We're gonna drop that down. There's actually a pretty good power gain that can come with this, along with tuning and, you know, proper parts. Just the spark plugs alone, it's pretty crazy. Got some 1.7/8" headers from Texas Speed, along with an off-road X-pipe. Let's start getting it tearing down, and let's party. Running upgrade. All right, so I took a moment to stop disassembling the car so I could actually do this trunnion upgrade, because I wanted to see, you know, how everything worked together. And honestly, it's super easy. The reason you want to change these is because inside of here, they're needle bearings, which I can show you over there. This is what they look like done. Super clean. They go in really easy. I mean, you just lubricate them, slide them on in, then it's a snap ring. Piece of cake. Anyway, I'm gonna do the others. Then I gotta get back to tearing this thing apart. I need a jack to actually jack it up to get the lift under it because it's too low, so. All right, it's a new day. Worked pretty long trying to pull this thing apart, but, like, you know, do it gingerly last night because I don't want to mess it up. Today, I've got to get the rest of this off so we can actually start tearing into that. I've already been here for a bit. I already got the head off on this side. I've been trying to figure out how to get this whole radiator, condensing unit, oil cooler package out without fucking everything up. And turns out I'm gonna basically have to disconnect the lines on the AC, but I don't want to mess it up. But we have this here, so I'm gonna try to get all the refrigerant out, disconnect the lines. I gotta disconnect that oil cooler lines, pull that out, then I can pull the front runner kit out, then we can get all the other shit off.
Oh shit, buddy, I gotta dig a little deeper.
Then we can figure out a few other things. This is kind of a pain in the ass. Way harder than doing it on a truck where you got a ton of space. So we're a little bit closer. See, we got John, we got Josh, Church of LS in the house that lend a hand. I now see why people don't like doing Corvette cam swaps. Here's what we had to do so far. We had to take out the transverse leaf spring so we could get to these two bolts, obviously. And then also we need to drop the subframe down so that we could get to the crank pulley bolt instead of having to pull out the power steering rack. So anyway, drop the subframe. We're gonna drop these down a little bit more. We got the engine mounts loosened up here so this can come up, the engine can stay up, and hopefully we'll get that off with no problems. None. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. All right, let's go. Okay, that was a pain in the ass. We tried a couple things, tried to shift the power steering rack if we could. We definitely had to drop the subframe like way down. By doing that and then also removing this one line that is effectively right in the damn way of the bolt and got the crank bolt out. Now we're just gonna pull that, pull this cover, get the cam out, and then just start getting back to assembling things finally. Yes. Thanks, dog. Well, there we go. Everything's broken down and ready to party. No cam, no lifters, no heads. Nothing in there. So, you know what time it is. It's time to put in that BFD Texas chop. Man, party time. Day 3 here at Zach's Chop Shop. Here's what's going on. Struggled with a couple things. One of the big struggles for this is getting the crank bolt and the crank pulley off. Because obviously, crank bolt hits the power steering rack. One of the things we had to do was find a way we basically had to drop the bolts on the subframe. There's 4 bolts. Take the bolts off of the engine mounts, put a jack with a piece of wood underneath the engine to lift it up, and then drop the subframe out underneath it. Now we used a transmission jack to help lower that and catch it. The engine had to be all the way up as far as it could possibly go. We took the front nuts off the subframe. The rears we left with like 1 thread in, dropped it all the way down as low as it could go, and that gave us just enough room to get the bolt off and then get the pullers off so we can get the balancer and crank pulley off. We loosened the bolts on the pump. There were the 4 that go in right here on the sides. Just got enough clearance to pull it back, and then we were able to take the bolts off the cam gear, pull it back, and then drop the cam gear kind of down and then pull the chain off, and then that gave us enough play to basically get the chain off. Then we could do the cam plate off, swap them out, get it all back together, and it all went together just fine. The important thing was checking the push rod length. With these PRC 260cc heads, I noticed that the push rods were 7.55 inches, which is a little bit longer than stock. Usually a stock LS push rod is 7.4 inches. So we needed to check that to make sure it was all good, just to be safe. If you want an actual video that explains that really well, Jacob Villeman actually did a video of that. That engine guy on YouTube, he makes a good video on that. So that's where we're at now. We're just got to assemble everything back in. We've also got this. So the exhaust came in today. We've got some 1 7/8 long tubes from Texas Speed and a nice X pipe here. All mandrel bent, nicely cleanly done. Got O2 bungs welded right there where you want them. This will make for some really good sounds. Anytime you're gonna be running a big ass cam with one of these, you gotta move the exhaust out, right? Something we've noticed with the BFD cams is that if you're running like a stock style manifold, it just absolutely chokes it out up top. And that's really where, it wants to party. You're leaving a lot of horsepower on the table if you don't have properly sized long tubes. Try it out. A lot of power to be had, plus it sounds sick. Let's get those installed. Let's get back to grinding.
We got a deal of a lifetime for you. We have teamed up with Black Rifle Coffee Company and Fuel Off-Road Wheel to help an active member of the U.S. military and veterans.
We're calling it the Tactical Transformation, and we are going to transform one of your cars or your trucks here in California and turn it into your dream build. Entering is super simple. Check out the link in the video description. It is 100% free to submit your car or truck today. So good luck and get those submissions in before it's too late.
Okay, we got the car back together, minus the hood. First fire up time. We're gonna try to get it started, toss the tune in, and just at least get it running, hopefully. My, oh my, we are done here. So, fired her up, runs great, chops good, sounds nice. It's actually a little bit crispier on throttle, which is nice, and that's good. That's what we want. I mean, right out of the gate, real snappy, feels great. So now we can finally do this, which, oh, this is gonna leave some gross residue. Oh, shit. No. All right, this thing is finished up, ready to go home. It's done, it's drivable. Moral of the story here, don't give up. You might screw it up once, twice, maybe even a few more times. But you know what, if you just keep at it, you'll figure it out eventually. Good times. Let's get this thing cleaned up. Well, the job is pretty much done. Got the Texas Speed BFD cam in it, the PRC 260cc LS3 heads, Texas Speed 1 7/8 long tubes, 3-inch X pipe, new lifters, push rods, CHE trunnion upgrades, used HP tuners to get it running, get it streetable. Next, we're gonna take it to the dyno, get it dialed in, and see what kind of power it does put down. Will it make more? It should. Is it fast? I don't know, I haven't driven it yet. But I do know this. It sounds a hell of a lot better. That's the way an American car should sound. Anyway, stay tuned for more. Can you perhaps make this car sound like it's got a high revving, super refined, flat plane crank V8? Once it gets to here and back, this is all titanium.